welcome back to another edition of AFK Discussions. It's your boy, Jason, and we have a really special guest. We have Laura from Midnight in the Mountains. She's one half of the Midnight in the Mountains, so I think in the future we're going to have your co-host on also. I think we spoke about that a little bit, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, guys,
whatever you want.
Before we get into this, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Fat Tack. Get all these cool, look, brand new hat. I got the sticker on there and everything. So, guys, you can go check them out at fattack.com. Pick up all their cool merch. They have holsters. They have body armor. They have everything you need for your tactical needs. Also, if you go on there, you can find AFK discussion shirts, which is really cool. And you can also find these cool holsters. Check out this holster. It's really cool. It's their premium holster. And it sits really low on your belt, so it doesn't dig into your stomach. If you have a little bit of a gut, it'll be nice. Okay, so that's fattack.com. Check them out. All right, guys. So, Laura, can you tell us a little bit about like what your podcast is about and just some of the things you talk about?
Yeah, so I started my podcast and I brought on my friend Aaron, who is more of a skeptic than I am, and he doesn't know a whole lot about the paranormal. So I thought it would be really good to bring him on and hear what he has to say, you know, being more skeptical than I am. And we kind of just dive into some history, and then we talk about paranormal things, and we do folklore and legends and things like that.
That's really cool. So I know you're from like the Pennsylvania area, and we were talking a little bit offline about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you had a friend that may have had a little bit of a Bigfoot encounter. If you want to tell the people about that, because I love Bigfoot, and I was very interested in what you were saying about that. Which, I mean, it's really cool. So.
Yeah, so he recently moved. He's a little bit closer to me than he was before, and what he says when he goes outside around 9-10 o'clock at night, it gets dead silent, like nothing moving in the woods. And he had said that he heard tree knocks, and he's sitting there and he's like, is this really happening right now? Because he listens to all the paranormal podcasts also, and he's all into everything. And he had heard a Bigfoot like whoop or yell kind of thing. I can't remember exactly what it sounded like, but he had sent me a YouTube video and was like, 20 seconds in, this is exactly what it sounded like. So it was pretty crazy. He's like, you got to come over here at nighttime. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to. I just want to come over and sit outside and see what happens.
That's pretty crazy. So I don't know if you had a chance to see the little Bigfoot expedition I went on recently, but I had a friend that was having some weird things happen on his property. The funny thing is, I talked to him yesterday, and he told me that since I came over there, it's been like silent. There's nothing going on now.
Really?
I don't know if I scared them off because I was up there like whooping and, you know, doing all this stuff, but yeah, it's gone.
Did you guys bring cameras out for the first time? Maybe?
I did. Yeah. I just had a GoPro and I was just walking around filming.
Did he have cameras before that?
Oh no, not at all.
So then maybe that's because, you know what I mean? They normally like if you don't want Bigfoot activity, they say put a camera out.
That's true. That's true.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I heard someone the other day. I don't remember which podcast I was listening to, but they said that like maybe it was Tony's show. Maybe it was this past week's episode of the Confessionals, that like when you start looking for them, or, you know, like going out and acknowledging that they're there, that they usually kind of step back, you know, and like, oh, they know we're here. We're going to be quiet now. So
yeah,
I don't know. I can't remember where I heard that from, but I know that this week's episode was about Bigfoot, but I don't know.
Yeah, I usually listen to his show, but I didn't listen to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting to me, the whole Bigfoot phenomenon. I mean, I think that's really what got me into wanting to do podcast, was listening to Sasquatch Chronicle.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I found out about Tony's show from listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. But yeah, anyways, so we were talking earlier, so I just want to get right into this because I really want to talk about this. So there was an EVP
Mm-hmm.
that some of your friends caught, and we'll discuss it after we listen to it. But if you want to like introduce what's going on and where you guys were and all this stuff.
Okay, so I'll just set it up real quick and then I
Okay.
could get into details. We were at Burnbrae Mansion and this EVP was taken in the attic. And it was like right after the one girl that was up there, she said she saw a bat fly at her and she just became completely emotional and hysterical, and there was 3 other people in the attic with her and they did not see a bat. So whatever's up there wanted to scare her, and I'm pretty sure feed off of her fear. And that's kind of set up because I think they like, because we were all in the house and we were all broken up into groups doing our own thing, because I think there was like maybe 14 of us that night. We went to Burnbrae Mansion in Glen Spey, New York. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can play it and then we could get into it.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna cue this up real quick. Yeah. Wait. Let me cue up the other version because it's a little cleaner. Hopefully we'll be able to see this or hear this, guys. If not, I may have to put in that in post, but let me know if you can hear it. And if you can, I'll try to figure it out. But we should be able to hear it right now. Let's see.
So please, give me your name.
Get out. Get out. Okay. So let me play it one more time. Were you able to hear that?
No.
You didn't hear it at all.
No.
Okay, see, that's what I was worried about. It's so weird.
But I've listened to it like 100 times. So I mean, I don't, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna play it through one more time for the audience and just listen, guys, and just listen to it closely. And I would like some comments. If you guys listen to this, put some comments down below on what you think. Okay, I'm gonna play it one more time.
So please, give me your name.
Get out. Get out. Okay. So, we were talking about this a little bit before we started. So we both agree that the whisper sounds like the person who was talking beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, I mean, if it is 100% legit, then that's some awesome evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know we spoke about this. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. It's on Instagram. Let's share my screen here. Instagram, share. There we go. Okay, this is what you sent me, the audio wave files. So,
Yeah.
So we're talking about this. So I'm trying to put it into words here. So, like I said, if it is 100% legit, that's incredible evidence. And I have heard of spirits using the voices of other people around them before. That's not unusual. So on this right here, so this would be the voice of your friend, correct?
No, I think that the whole thing, because I also have another picture of that he took off of Audacity where he just highlighted where the EVP is, and I believe that's just the EVP right there, all in the white. Okay. Yeah, and it's in a stereo channel. So stereo channels usually match pretty closely, and this does not match at all.
Yeah, not at all. And it is weird too because the spikes in the audio is, if this is stereo, so one's, I'm assuming this is left and this is right. So there's a spike on the left here, but a spike on the right here, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know. That's weird because if if what do you know what device was he using to record with?
I don't know. He has some kind of recorder. I could ask him. It might be like a Sony or something. I'm really not sure, honestly.
Okay, is it one of the recorders that has the dual microphones that kind of cross like this at the top?
I have no idea, honestly.
Okay. Because I was thinking if he's using like a mono audio recording, you know, I don't know. I mean, you can, mono to stereo, you can do that fairly easy, with the, technology, you can break it down into two channels. But if you have like a stereo recording, like one of those little microphones like this, it seems like something would, start here or on the left and then go around and, end here and vice versa, start over here. I don't know. I'm trying to explain it, but
I
don't know if
understand
I
what
can
you're
explain it.
saying.
Yeah.
I just
at the
texted him
first-
quick, so maybe he'll
Yeah.
answer.
Okay, cool. Like at the first here, they would be, more towards the left channel. And then at the end here, it's like they talked more in the right channel. I don't know. That's just me trying to reason what's going on here. I could be totally crazy, but I probably am totally crazy, but
I mean, aren't we all kind of, if we're all doing this kind of stuff, I guess, maybe?
Yeah. that is very weird. But I'm not, I don't know a whole lot about audio. I know enough to be dangerous.
Exactly. Me too.
Yeah. I play guitar and bass, but that's about all. That's my extent of audio. I know how to, work speakers and, your amps and stuff, but do a little bit, enough to get by for editing for the podcast. But
exactly,
that's
yeah.
about it. But yeah, I just think it's very interesting. But now you said, you were telling me that there was a couple of different people that said, he was legit. And I mean, do you want to go into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can go into that, or I could go into the whole backstory of this place.
Yeah,
because that
would be great.
Okay, let's do that, because I completely understand where I could see how this could easily be like, no, this is fake because it sounds exactly like him. All of us agreed that it sounds just like him, and we're like, okay, and spirits can be known for mimicking people, and it's fine. Like, if somebody doesn't believe it, that's fine. I definitely would not, like, I'm not a hoaxer or anything like that by any means.
Yeah.
So this place is literally like crazy. The first time I went there was 2 years ago. I think it was back in like the summer of 2021. I went with Tony Merkel from the Confessionals. He did those overnight trips that he was doing, and his brother-in-law Creed and his girlfriend Jen have a travel company called Educated Wanderer, and they set this whole trip up and like teamed up with Tony and did it. So we go up there, we go up to New York, and we go there, we have dinner, we meet the owners, everything. Mike and Pat are the owners, and there's this paranormal team that works there and does things with people and, investigates with them. And there's 3 of them. So the head investigator, Melissa, we're all sitting down in the living room and we're getting, she's telling us what we're going to be doing, all this stuff. And she's like, listen, guys, she's like, you need to respect everybody. You need to just don't be disrespectful, period. So there's this one guy named Cleet. And he, just from the get-go, he was just like a total jokester the whole trip. Just, that's kind of like his personality. So he was kind of like just throwing it out there, just poking fun already. So there's a good amount of us. I don't remember how many of us were there, but we split up into 3 different teams, and Cleet was not in my group, but I believe Cleet was in Jen and Creed's group. And throughout the night, we would go into what was called lockdowns, and they would take us into different rooms to do different types of investigating, and we would close the door. So when we're in there, I remember that we could hear footsteps in the hallway. And that place is actually known for that, which I didn't know that at the time. We all heard it. And I was in Tony's group, and we went into this one room where some years ago, I guess they were redoing the roof, and they found like there was like a hole in the one part of it, and they found a secret room in one of the rooms. And the creepy part about it is that they opened up the room, and there was a little like cradle or crib and like a little chair, and like, so it was a little kid's room. And there's like this little boarded up window. It has a wooden frame around it, as if you would, like, I don't know, pass food in or something like that. I don't really know why it was like that. But it does line up that there actually is, you see a woman in white in the one hallway, and women in white are usually, connected to some kind of trauma or loss of a child. And so we're thinking maybe, like, there was a baby that did live there, and it did pass away. So we're thinking, maybe they just boarded up the room or whatever, and that it was too painful or something. And I remember, like, Tony had an EMF detector, and every time he went in there with that, it would just light up and it would go off. And not to say, like, who knows, I don't know if there was wires in the wall or whatever. But so throughout the night, we're all investigating, right? That's just a little bit of the backstory. We go into the attic, and the attic is just super creepy. And at one point, I'm standing there, and I had holes in my jeans, and I felt this cold air go across my legs. And it's the middle of, it was either June or July when we went, and it was hot, and we were a hot, stuffy attic. And I'm telling everybody, and they're like, no, it's just a draft from the door. And I'm like, you got, like, no, I'm feeling this. This is here. And then the next thing you know, Creed and Jen open up the door, and they walk in, and Jen's standing there, and she's like, oh, I feel this really cold air on my legs. And I was like, oh, thank you, because I was feeling the exact same thing. And I've been around Jen, like, for 2 different trips, and her and I usually feel the same things, which I find is pretty interesting. And so anyways, like, we'll fast forward into the night, and we're doing dowsing rods, and supposedly there's a little girl ghost that is there, which myself, I don't know if she really is or not. I don't really know if it is a little girl ghost, because it just seems kind of off. The paranormal investigator there, Melissa, told us that she died in the house. I believe that her grandfather killed her. But I had one of my friends do some research, because my friend has an account to newspapers.com, and she found out that the little girl died in Jersey City and never even died in the house. And the house wasn't done being built until after she had passed away. So I don't know if this little girl followed them to the house or not, but the story goes that once they got into the house, the father had committed suicide because it was so painful for the loss of his child. So supposedly this little girl, Ellie, is still there and won't leave because her father is there also and doesn't want to leave him. So, what was I going to say? So throughout the night, this guy, Cleet, he just, all of a sudden, he starts breaking down crying, and he's white as a ghost, pale, everything. And we're like, what is going on? And we all thought it was because he was kind of joking around and mocking, and, Ellie kind of went after him and made him feel her sadness. Well, Melissa had also told us, she was like, I've seen whatever it is take down a grown man to the point where he's sobbing and crying. And this exact same thing happened to Cleet. He wouldn't talk to anybody the rest of the night. He sat outside on the porch swing with Melissa for like over an hour, and he just looked completely distraught. And the next morning he got up and he was fine and he was joking around and stuff. And people had things, there was weird things. These two friends that came up, they shared a room together, and they said that they heard a thunderstorm, like a windstorm, outside of their window, and they heard like dogs howling or something. Nobody else in the house heard that night except for those people in their room. And when I was trying to go to sleep, I was supposed to sleep at the bedroom at the very end of the hallway, and because it was the last room available. And earlier that night, I had walked down there, and I think I put my bag on the bed, and I was like, okay. I'm like, no, I don't like the way this room feels. This room's really creepy. So come time to go to bed, I walk in there and I'm like, no, I can't do this. I turn around and I walk down the hallway and I knock on a door, and I ask this one girl, I'm like, can I sleep in here with you? And she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay, thank you. Cause I'm not comfortable sleeping alone. So she lets me in, she falls asleep. I'm trying to fall asleep and I'm extremely uncomfortable. I'm like praying in my head, like, please, nothing touch me, nothing talk to me, nothing, just like leave me alone. I just need to sleep. And it's like 4:00 in the morning, and I just start to drift off, and I feel something touch my thigh. I'm trying to fall asleep on my side. And I got really mad, and I'm like, don't touch me. I'm trying to sleep. And I felt it again. And I was almost asleep, and I had this really messed up vision flash in my head, and I got really angry because I knew it didn't come from me. I knew it was something putting it in my head, because that never happened to me before. And the next morning I get up and I'm like such a paranormal hangover, just like completely drained. And so, I mean, that was kind of the trip. And I'm trying to think if I missed anything else, if anybody had any other things. I know the one girl who slept, there's like stable apartment rooms in the back behind the mansion. She said she felt like her bed was being pushed. There was another guy that had some really, really weird dreams that night. Yeah. And then so over the last 2 years, I've kept in contact with Creed and Jen, and they had gone back. I think they went back last year, and it was just this year before I went on my trip. Jen was like, yeah, we went back, and she's telling me about their trip. And she said, what happened to Cleet was the exact, like, that happened to another guy on their trip. The same thing, crying, hysterical, a complete mess. And so I didn't know exactly what happened at the time, but when I caught up with Jen, she said that Cleet, first of all, he felt like Ellie, the little girl, had crawled into his lap and hugged him, and then he could feel her sadness, so he started crying. And he has 2 little girls of his own, so it really upset him. And then in the attic, now mind you, this attic is full of antiques. I guess Mike, the owner, said he said like 40 or 60% of the antiques were already in there when they bought the house. And the others, I guess they had just collected over time and added to it. So in the one back corner, there's this thing called a spittoon, and it's like back in the day, you would spit your chew in it, whatever. And I guess he had picked it up or leaned into it and pretend to spit in it. And then after that, that's when all hell broke loose. I guess he was in the hallway by himself. Now, this is what Jen told me that he told her. He was in the hallway by himself, and he heard something come up and whisper into his ear saying, you will die by your own hands. And then that's what completely wrecked him.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Like he was just, and then I was like, because that was my whole thing. I'm like, how is this little girl Ellie gonna take down these grown men like this? I'm like, this isn't something's not adding up here. And then Jen told me that, and then I realized, oh, this makes more sense now. So then I guess on Jen's second trip she went, the same thing happened to a guy. I don't know if I think she said he was messing around when he shouldn't have been, and he was in the back corner by the spittoon. And also on their second trip, I have a really creepy picture I can send you then that she sent me. It's like a FLIR image of, there was somebody sitting down on a couch in one of the rooms, and they said they felt this pressure paralyzing them and they couldn't move. And the picture is them sitting on the couch, like, he image, but then there's this really dark image of something with its hand on the person's shoulder. It's so freaking creepy.
Yeah.
All right.
No, thank you. I don't.
Yeah, no.
That.
So then flash forward to when I went back in March. Yeah, I went back in March with a bunch of people. I think there was like maybe 14 of us that went. And I took a friend with me that's never been ghost hunting before. And the whole dilemma is on the way up there, I'm like, okay, we have to get in there and we have to pick what room we want before everybody else picks their room. Because I was like, I don't want to sleep in the one room I had before, and I don't want the really creepy room and all this stuff. So I take her through the hallway, and the hallway, I don't know what happened in the hallway, but it just creeps me out. And apparently that's where you can see the woman in white there. And I didn't know that until later on in the night. And I took her back to this one bedroom, the bedroom that I saw the very first time I went there and I was going to sleep in. And she's like, no, I don't like this room. And I said, like, yeah, this room, there's something about it. And later on, when I had gotten home, I had watched a YouTube video, and the same people, like the people said the exact same thing I did. They were like, this is such a creepy room. Like, it's so weird. And it just kind of makes me feel better to know that I'm not the only one thinking that there's something wrong with this room.
Definitely.
And so I guess we go throughout the night, we have our dinner, and the owner Mike is telling us, oh, there's nothing bad here. And I'm like, just in my gut, I'm like, there's something wrong with this place. And so we break up after dinner, we go investigate, and throughout the night, we weren't, whoever I was with, we weren't getting a whole lot of anything really. And Rich comes and gets all of us, rounds us up throughout the house, and brings us all downstairs, and we sit at one of the dining room tables. And we're like, okay, what's going on? And he lays his recorder out on the table and plays this recording, the one that you had played. And what I gave you was someone took their phone out while Rich was playing his recorder and recorded it on their cell phone. Okay. And I'm going to try to get the actual original copy off of Rich's recorder. He's just been super busy with work. But we listened to it and we all agree. Well, first of all, it says get out of here. Mm-hmm. And we all agree that it sounds just like Rich. And the other 3 people in the room swear that it was not him. And the one guy, Joe, was like, no, I swear it was not him. I had the flashlight on him the whole time. The recorder was 4 feet away from him. It definitely was not him. And just by his genuine reaction, I was just like, this isn't a hoax. This isn't a lie. This is real. And Rich is one of my good friends, and he has never, ever given me a reason to think that he had been lying, ever. He's just like, I just trust him. And so what happened was, I guess I should... So how I had explained how those men like broke down, that's actually 3 of them that I know. I'm sure there's probably more, like the one that Melissa told us about, then the one on my trip, then the one on Jen's trip. And it seemed to me that you had to be disrespectful in some sort of way in order to get, get hit with this, whatever this is. And the people I investigate with are very respectful. Nobody does provoking, anything like that, because if they did, I wouldn't be with them, because I don't believe in that. I think you should be respectful. And so yeah, so 4 of them go up in the attic, and there's this girl, Sarah, and her boyfriend Charlie, and then Joe and Rich. And I can read you. I asked her, I said, could you please kind of type up your experience for me so that I could have it all correct? So I could read that now if you want me to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So she wrote, so I'll preface this by saying that the team and I have investigated plenty of places that have bats hanging around inside. Whenever we come across this, we laugh and joke. It's very lighthearted, and at no point have I ever been genuinely scared of a bat. So in the attic of Burnbrae, there are a ton of collectibles, figurines, knickknacks, decorations, etc. To the left side of the attic in the back, there is a pheasant hanging on the ceiling, and there are glittery flat Halloween bats behind it. One in the middle of the walkway and the other in the back corner adjacent from the other. Charlie and I were investigating alone when he kept feeling like something was hugging him from behind without arms.
Huh.
He would become frozen, and I would have to pull him out of that space to break him free. At one point, we were standing in the back left hand corner, and we kept getting drawn to the flat bats on the ceiling that were hanging down. There was really no draft in the attic, no cracks that would cause them to swing. However, the bats kept moving while the light string right next to them was at a standstill. Other team members, Rich and Joe, came and met us in the attic so we could figure out what was going on. When Rich would stand under the pheasant would start to slowly spin, so we were trying to debunk this. Joe was asking questions with his flashlight pointed on the pheasant. As we were investigating, I looked away for a second and I looked back, and I swear on everything I saw plain as day, a bat flying right at me, about to hit me, and I fell down to the ground and got super scared to the point I started crying, asking where the bat went. I saw a bat. Where did it go? Frantically looking around, when every single person then said that there was absolutely no bat at all. There was nothing, and no one saw anything whatsoever. In hindsight, I think my subconscious mind knew I had got charged by a spirit, which is why I immediately started crying, because, as I said before, I've been around plenty of bats and never once have they scared me. There's a little bit more. So what we chalked that up to is a shadow figure charged at me. I went up with Joe, Rich, and Charlie for a second time to figure out what happened, when in the same spot I was standing in, I got really emotional out of nowhere and started crying. After letting it out, I felt better. I felt something come over me, and I needed to cry. I just needed to cry. A little after, the attic seemed to have died down as far as action or the feeling that was there. So that's what she wrote.
That's pretty crazy. So there's another crazy part about this. So I'm not lying, guys. This is 100% legit. So when we got to our house tonight,
oh no.
We walked into our we have like a eat-in kitchen, it's like a little it's like a kitchen, but then there's like a little table in there, you can eat at, which has a ceiling fan over it. The ceiling fan's turned off, but my wife was like, Jason, come in here. And I went in there, and it's just slowly spinning, and it's not turned on. And when you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, what's the coincidence, of this?
That's creepy.
Yeah, that is very creepy. Because I was like, it's fine, probably just wind or something. But I mean, it's such a coincidence that you were, telling the story, and that happened to me. Just not
Yeah.
10 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah.
For that just to be spinning like that.
Yeah, and it's turned off. Definitely turned off.
Yeah, you would know if it was on.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine.
But that is so, gosh. And what you said was, what was it? She said it felt like something hugging without arms.
Yeah. So this
weird.
This is like the other thing too. So she said that her boyfriend, it came up behind him and it felt like it was like pressed against, he felt pressure on the backside of him, like something was hugging him without wrapping the arms around him. And like she said, I didn't know this part either, that she had to physically pull him to move him. And then I guess it was the first time they were up there when Joe and Rich had met them up there. Joe had said, because let me step back for a second. Charlie was trying to get her out of the attic because she was so hysterical. So he's trying to get her out. And then I guess at one point, Charlie stops and stands there. And Joe's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, come on." And Joe said that tears ran down Charlie's face. And he's like, "I can't move." And Joe's this big dude. He said he had to pull him. They're both big dudes. They're both strong dudes.
Yeah.
He said he had to pull him to get him to be able to move, to get out of the attic, which totally ties into the paralysis that someone was having on the couch the second time that Jen went.
Yeah, that's
like, and this is, I don't know what, something's definitely tied to the spittoon, because I know that Mike had told somebody like that whenever he goes into the attic, if he bumps or cleans the spittoon or something bad happens to him that day. He will get hurt, something bad will happen. And then on other like interviews, there's like a TV show that someone had found from my group, and I watched a clip of it, and he's saying that there's evil in the attic. But then when we're there, he's like, "Oh no, there's nothing bad there. There's nothing bad there." And just my gut is telling me that's not right. That's not right. And it wasn't, like I said, till just a couple months ago that I found out about the whole spittoon thing. And I'm like, okay, well, that ties into why I'm feeling like something is really off there. Something's not right there. And Jen even agrees. She's like, something just feels off there.
Yeah.
And what really upsets me, and this is my own thoughts, opinions, whatever, because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking crap, but the next morning when we all got up, we sat down at the table with Mike, and we're trying, and he's like talking, and the guys, Charlie and Joe, are like, "All right, so what's up with your attic?" And he's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And just trying to play it off. And they're like asking questions, and they're like, "So nothing bad ever happens up there?" And he just was like, just blowing it off, and then just trying to tell stories as if it was no big deal, and trying to tell stories to make them forget about what they were trying to ask. And I honestly had no sleep, and I was just getting so angry, because I'm like, you darn well know that something is up there, and you're just letting people go up there willy-nilly and act like it's no big deal. Because I like, to me, I can't understand it. I've tried to figure it out. Is he keeping it there because it's bringing money in because there's paranormal activity, or is there something where he can't remove it or something? And then I was talking to one of my other friends, and they were saying, I think that maybe he's kind of like helping to feed this entity, whatever it is, by letting people come and get scared, because he definitely knows that it's there.
And
And
that was my thoughts also.
okay, yeah.
Or maybe has some sort of a deal with this thing,
Yes, that's what my
Yeah.
friend said too, like some kind of thing. And that's really interesting that because I never thought of that. And then he said that, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds exactly very possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I have oh, go ahead. Sorry.
People do definitely weird things for money. So,
Yeah. I don't know. And that's why I prefaced it by saying these are my thoughts, these are my opinions, because I don't want anybody else, that was there, if they're whatever their feelings are. That's how I feel about it. And a few other things throughout the night. I didn't know this so we were all so just creeped out after this happened, because I guess they had gotten that EVP. Rich came down to get all of us, and then Sarah was like, screw this, I'm going back up there and I'm confronting it, because I'm not going to let it make me cry like that. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is not a good idea. You guys should not go back up there, because they were a mess. I mean, just an absolute distraught mess. And they go back up there, and me, knowing I shouldn't go up in the attic, I'm too curious, because, like, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
So I creep back up in there with my friend, and we're just kind of listening what's happening. And all of a sudden, Sarah just starts bawling again. And she says, I feel so sad and I don't know why. And at that point, I guess it just felt like all the energy, everything left the attic, and it just kind of died down. So we all got out of the attic, and then I guess we all kind of got back into our original groups that we were in. And I went into the one master bedroom where Joe and his wife were supposed to sleep. And then me and my friend went in there, and then this other guy that we were investigating with was in there, and we're all talking. And he was supposed to sleep in the room across from the attic, the room that has the little creepy extra room in it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would try to close that door, and every time he tried to close it, it would come open. And if he got it closed, he'd walk away, he'd come back in the room, and the door was open. And he said, I'm not sleeping in there. I'm not comfortable. And I feel like whatever is in the attic is moving throughout the house. And he's been to a lot of haunted places, and not much really scares him. He was not comfortable. So all 5 of us, grown adults, all the lights on, stayed up till the sun came up. The 3 of us girls laid down in the king-size bed, and Joe's wife and my friend had fallen asleep a little bit. I'm still awake. Joe's still awake. The other guy is still awake. And then I think they got to drift off a little bit, and I had to get up and go to the bathroom. And Joe goes, do you want me to come outside and stand guard out the door? I said, no, it's okay, but I'm going to leave this door open, because it was right across the hallway. So I go to the bathroom and I come back, and Joe and the other guys' faces are like, and I said, what's wrong? They said, we heard whispers and footsteps in the hallway while you were in the bathroom. I'm like, what? Yeah. And then earlier in the night, Joe's wife and another girl were sitting on that very same bed. And if you're looking towards the wall, there's a window. And they had said they saw a face go like this, like twice over to the window. And it was like a pale white face. And they told me that. And my friend Joe's wife told me that. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. And then I realized we were on the 2nd floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then there was another point in the night where they were doing the Estes method, and Rich was in the closet with the door shut.
Mhm.
And Joe's asking the questions, and all of a sudden the door handle starts jiggling 3 times real loud. So Joe goes over and he opens the door closet and opens the door to the closet, and it's like, Rich, what are you doing? And Rich has his hands in his pocket. He's got his head facing the wall and turns around. He didn't have a blindfold on, but he's in there in the dark and he had the headphones on. And he's like, what are you doing? And his hands are in his pocket. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's that's crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot. So
Yeah.
now when you I guess when you re-listen to the EVP and you could understand what this place is capable of, it doesn't seem as crazy.
Yeah.
And I have multiple people that have witnessed this stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's some good evidence, and it's not unheard of to have a spirit use a voice of someone.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the whole doppelganger effect of, a spirit taking the image of someone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think it's totally possible. I've watched, gosh, I cannot think of the name of the show. Anyways, there's a show on I've been watching lately. It's, I think it's on History or Discovery, but anyways, there's these like 3 friends and then a cameraman, and they go into these haunted places and stay overnight. But there's one episode where, the girl of the group, she heard someone speaking in her voice.
Oh,
And it they recorded it and you can hear it, and they're like, that's like your voice. So yeah, I mean, it's not unheard of. I've heard of that before. So
yeah.
I'm not discounting it at all. I'm just saying, it does sound like him, but I mean,
it does.
And if it is legit, that's 100% some really good evidence,
Yeah. I mean, and just by their reactions and everything, it was so genuine, but I can completely understand where someone on the outside not being there could listen to that and say, oh yeah, that's fake. Because I mean, I do the same thing too. There's sometimes I listen to podcasts and there's people on and I'm like, no, they're full of crap. They're lying. That didn't happen, because I get it. I understand, So, and then I have one more thing to add to it. Okay. And then I'm done talking because I've rambled on far long enough. But when I was talking to my friend the other night, the one who thought that maybe this guy was feeding whatever's in the attic, could they have some kind of agreement? Him and I we were supposed to record it for an episode, but I'm like, I don't really have the energy to do this. Do you want to just chat for a while? So he's like, yeah, that's fine. So we get on Zoom and we're talking, and I'm telling him this whole story, and I just start telling him about the EVP, and I'm sitting here just like I am with you. I don't have, windows open on my computer. I only have up the Zoom window, and I start to tell him about the EVP, and I swear to God, my music player pops open and starts to play the EVP. You hear Rich's voice start talking. I swear to God.
That's crazy.
I lost my mind. I said to him, I so wish you were recording right now that you could get my genuine reaction, because I swear to you, I am not making this up. And I said, please, please, please do not think that I'm lying to you. He said, no, I believe you. I don't think that you are. I lost it. I lost my mind. I'm like, how does this even happen? I went crazy. Like the next morning I got up and I texted Joe and his wife and my other friend and Rich, and I told them what happened, and they said, that is wild.
That is wild. That is,
yeah,
man. Yeah.
And I know how crazy it sounds. I know it sounds like I'm making it up, but I swear on anything.
That's what I found out, in the few years I've been doing this. The crazier the story, the more plausible it is,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. The more I delve into it, the more I believe the weirder stories are 100% true, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like the hugging without arms. I mean, I can totally just envision what that feels like someone like leaning up against you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's and when I came home, I'm not kidding. I was drained for a week. I was exhausted. And my one other friend that we had been investigating with, he was telling me, I mean, it's been almost a month and he started feeling better. He said he felt really drained and he just wasn't feeling like himself and he was having really weird dreams for a whole month. He's finally feeling better now.
That's
It's just I don't know, man. Some of the people want to go back and they want to try to figure out what's there, but I might go back there, but I don't think I'd ever sleep over there again.
yeah. So I'm trying to remember because I know there's a couple of the events with Tony. Is this the one that's close to gosh, I can't what's it called? Sleepy Hollow. Is this the one that's close to there?
So the second trip
Okay.
was the one I went on both. The second trip was the Shanley Hotel, and we stopped in Sleepy Hollow for lunch on the way up there.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember because I didn't know if this was the hotel that was next to Sleepy Hollow or not. Because I guess both were in New York. Both the events.
So Burnbrae is in Glens Bay, New York, and then Shanley Hotel is, I don't know what town it's in, but it's up there. It's definitely, if you go to Sleepy Hollow and then you keep driving, and then we stopped at this other place. I guess I had never heard of it until we went, but I really would like to go back and investigate. I tried to email them and nobody's answered me, but it's called Huguenot Street, and it's got a pretty crazy history. There's tons of really, really graphic bad murders that have happened on the street, and it's also, I guess, basically, the white people came over and they took it away from the Native Americans. So my feeling is that there's something bad there because of that, and it just kind of cursed the whole area or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we stopped there on the way up. That was a really cool place. And then we went up to the Shanley, and that place I couldn't even sleep there. I left.
Really? Oh, okay.
It was bad. It was really bad.
So I've kind of heard stories about it, but Tony doesn't like to talk about it.
I will never go back to that place ever again.
Yeah.
You could not pay me to step foot on the property. I'm telling you, there's demons there or something.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's that bad. I think I sent you the thing. I don't know. I'm assuming you're a member to Tony, but I don't.
Yeah, I am.
But it is. What was it? Episode 527, members episode, Haunted Sleepover, is the one that I talked to him, and we talked about both of the trips.
Yeah, that's why I actually have not had a chance to listen to it because today was crazy.
Yeah.
So, I know you guys love to hear me talk about my daily life. My son had another soccer tournament this week, and much better than the last tournament he was in. So they finished first place, and they go on to first place in their division. So they go on to the championship tomorrow, which is going to be awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it was a very busy day. And then, I went and upgraded my cell phone plan without planning on it. And that was an adventure,
Yeah, that always takes so long.
Yeah. I was like, let's go see how much it would cost, because the kids are going to middle school, and we want to make sure that they have phones just in case something happens,
Yeah.
And so we left with 3 more phones, and a little bit more broke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but man, it was great. Gosh, you're so good at telling stories. I was captivated when you're
Are
telling.
you sure? Because
Yeah.
I felt like I was all over the place, and I wanted to apologize for that because
No,
it's just
I
a
thought it was
lot to
great.
try to remember it.
No, I thought it was great. It was really, really good. A lot of great details in there. But I want to thank you for coming on. If you will, could you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me and Aaron, my co-host, at midnight_in-the-mountains on Instagram. You can also email us if you have a paranormal story you want to share with us to read on the show, midnight_in-the-mountains at yahoo.com. And we're on pretty much any podcatcher that you could find. So, yeah.
Awesome. I want to thank you again for coming and just telling your stories. And like I said, we will definitely be having you back on. I know you wanted to chat with Phil about some things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll definitely get you back on to do that. Also, guys, make sure follow all the good things, AFK Discussions. And if you have a story, if you want to be a guest, email us afkdiscussions@gmail.com. But thanks again, and we out. Peace. Rip through the ages.